Don't worry, there's something about you. If you subscribe to me today, I promise you we gonna hit AK. So please subscribe to me so you could get great content. I'm trying to tell you to subscribe to me so me and the boys can hit AK. Yeah. I'm so sorry. It's your boy Zxous back with another Goddess of Victory Nikke video. Now, I made this community post yesterday, and also if you haven't watched it or looked at the one beforehand, I am going to do a Nikke one question and go sometime in the future. I'll let you guys know more about this when I decide the date and stuff like that, but you guys can go ahead and scroll down one tab under my community post right now, and you'll be able to get all the information, join the Discord and stuff like that. You're going to actually be able to ask me a question, right? And you can ask me whatever the hell you want, right? Mainly Nikke, but could be whatever. But yesterday I made a community post saying, make a concept of what you would like or what you would want Red Hood skills to be. I'll react to them for a video. So since this is not a reaction, well, okay, hold on, because no. Yep, so it's a reaction. So I'm curious to see what you guys are going to say, right? Obviously, I'm glad that, you know, we've grown so much on the channel where I can now do these types of videos. Let me sit here so I'm in the camera, right? But I'm glad that we've grown a bit so that we can start doing these videos. I know, obviously, if we used to do this a while back, we'd only get a couple, but now we're getting so much more responses and stuff like that. So thank you guys for the support. And, definitely make sure you guys subscribe. I thought I got a phone call there. So let's take a look at some of you guys' concept. I know some of these are going to be trolls, but let's look. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm probably going to like pause and cut and look for. Okay, so here, let me look at this one. So J Horn G, guess / idea. 1 burst 2 that alone can achieve same effect like Tia and Naga or Bunny Girls, improving team survivabilities and buff at the same time, provide DPS. So basically summer needs. Or 2, passive full charge damage. No, disarm / stun target for 5 seconds except boss. I mean, okay. So I think question of the day for the people watching this video specifically, what would you want Red Hood to be? Would you want Red Hood to be a DPS or a supporter? I think a lot of people want her to be a supporter, it seems like. I want her to be a DPS that skills off of HP. The reason why is because there's no question, especially seeing after what 2B is doing, it's so easy to make characters like surpass Scarlet, right? Because if we just have them get an attack buff skilled off their like, imagine if 2B gave herself a 50% attack buff of her final max HP. That would be ridiculous, right? Hers is only 6%. They could really make it crazy in Nikke. So I think she should be a DPS burst 3 personally. But if you want it to be a support, I don't want her to be a burst 2. There's no point, right? You guys got to remember, especially with Naga and Tia and even Blanc and Noir, both of them contain burst 2 characters that are really, really good. So you're not going to be able to use, you know, Red Hood's burst skill with Naga or, you know, Blanc, right? So I need her to be either a burst 1, because if she's burst 1, I can use her with Naga and Tia because we re-enter the burst stage. And same thing goes with, you know, Blanc and Noir. They're a burst 2 and 3 unit. And then if she's a burst 3, it's fine because you can have multiple burst 3s on your team and just cycle between Noir and Red Hood and Blancs, or just have, you know, Naga, Tia, and then the burst 3. So I think she should be a burst 3, really, to, you know, make use of the Bunny Girls and the School Girls, realistically, right? Let's see this one. So normal attack by default has Pierce. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I think Red is gonna have something crazy, right? Skill 1, after a certain amount of hits, provides charge speed / charge damage to sniper units only. That's a supportive mechanic. I don't really want it to have supportive mechanics, right? Maybe if she is going to have supportive mechanics, then maybe make her more like Modernia than Scarlet. Like, make her more of a Modernia, right? More of a Modernia type unit who's doing insane damage but has those support mechanics. And Modernia does have support mechanics too, right? Like the, you know, hit rate, but I would prefer full DPS, full massacre damage, right? Second skill, gives a taunt to Red Hood for 10 seconds plus damage reduction for 5 seconds. All allies receive reload speed for 10 seconds. Right, and then the burst, give all allies pierce and increase core damage plus provides attack buff for 5 or 15 seconds. Deals certain amount of damage of final attack as damage to the highest attacking enemy and stuns. That's a good concept, but I feel like that's something they would give to a regular unit, right? I feel like the anniversary character has to be over the top, right? Honestly, Willy Wonka, I could see that kid going to a regular unit, maybe like a Lycian in the future, right? Maybe not that exact kid, but something around that kid, right? I just personally don't think that's like Annie level, personally, right? Because remember, Annie, we've waited a whole year for this. This is right now the most anticipated character in the game because it's anniversary, right? Since the game has released, this character has always been the most anticipated because everyone's always waiting for the anniversary, and we always know anniversaries are going to be hyped. So in my opinion, I mean, it's a good kit, but just not anniversary level in my opinion. Right, let's take a look at this one. There's a lot here. Okay, so Burst 3, Code Fire. Actually, let's make her an Electric Code. And I say that because Anise, remember, if you guys have her and she's an Electric Code, Anise gives a massive attack buff to Electric Code allies. So I would want her to be either Fire or Electric. It doesn't matter, but preferably Electric, because Summer Anise gives a massive attack buff to Electric characters, right? So yeah. Okay, so Sniper Rifle, Fire Code Burst 3, Attacker. Weapon, no charge time. Acts as a bolt action sniper. 50 to 70% weapon multiplier. Okay. No charge time. So kind of like Pascal's, right? Where Pascal just shoots rocket launchers. That would be cool, right? Skill 1 activates when burst skill activates. Effect self. Effect changes according to number of activation times. So attack speed increase, low and oh, so she gets 2 effects. Okay, that's something new. Okay, so some what is this guy's name? Light Years would want her to have attack speed and attack percent increase the first time when you use her burst skill. The second time it would be attack speed and attack percent again, but a bit higher. And then the third time it would be a massive attack speed increase and attack percent increase. I would love for her to have attack speed, right? I want a character, like right now, the character I want the most in the game is a character who gives all allies attack speed, like a massive attack speed buff. And it is possible because Sugar, I believe, gives it to herself. Sugar gives it to herself. So it's possible for them to have an attack speed buff in this game. So right now, what I want the most is a character who increases attack speed for all allies. Because think of like characters like Summer Anise, for example. Imagine when using Summer Anise's burst skill, she also has her attack speed increase. Mind you, she's already not reloading and she only has 1 bullet. It would be pretty nasty, right? So there's that. And then the second skill activates at the beginning of the battle. Effect self increases defense of final attack high continuously. Increases defense by final attack. Okay, activates after firing 5 times. Taunts all enemies for 5 seconds. Damage taken reduction high. Nice. Damage. Oh, reduces skill cooldown by 2 seconds. It's a weird one because I mean, okay, you had me in the first half and I liked it. But this part, I don't know. Okay. So if you guys don't know, let me just show you guys so you guys know what I'm talking about, right? If you guys don't know, if you look at Red Hood's legs, she has a shield, like a taunt, like a this. She has this on her legs, right? So a lot of people are speculating she's a defender for that. That's probably why I'm getting a lot of like, let me close this. But because she has this thing on her leg, I think a lot of people expect her to be a defender. That's kind of why they keep giving her a lot of people are giving her this defensive mechanic, right? It's not a problem, but me personally, I would love for the anniversary character to be full DPS, right? That's just what it is for me, right? Because for her to be a full DPS realistically is what she would need to be better than Scarlet or Modernia. She can have these little support mechanics, but the numbers would literally have to be outrageous, right? So yeah, burst skill 40-second cooldown affects enemy with the highest HP, so it's a 1-hitter. Deals damage based on the final attack, very high. Covers 50% of damage dealt to HP healed. That's not bad. Oh, and there's more. Okay, affects all enemies. Applies burn status based on the final attack mid 10 seconds. Okay, affects self. Applies a shield for 10 seconds based on the final defense. Okay, so that makes sense now. When attacked while buff is active, applies fire damage over time based on the final defense low to attacker. Oh, okay, so that's a cool mechanic actually. That's pretty cool. So basically, it's a DPS, right? A DPS who is a taunter as well. But when you're taunting and she actually gets attacked, She does have the shield. She does have damage reduction as well. But when she is getting attacked because she's taunting, she puts the damage over time debuff on them. And I would like to see that part, actually. I think that's a pretty cool mechanic. We haven't had like a damage over time character since Nihilister, and even before that it was Haran. That's the only two characters I can think of who has like a damage over time. And I think characters with damage over time have the possibility of being like, look at Haran, right? In the beginning of the game, Haran was top 3 in the game, right? DPS guaranteed, because obviously it was the start of the game and her virus transfer was just outrageous, to be honest. It really was. Alrighty, so I just read this too. I didn't want to, take up too much time reading this, but basically it's just how I thought, right? So it's DPS who does have taunt mechanics, but when taunting, she's still doing DPS. So she's basically tanking and still doing damage somehow, right? Very cool concept. Right now, I would say that's my favorite concept. Okay, let's take a look at this one. So this is from Lost Origin. Skill 1. Oh, zombie's car. Okay. Triggers on burst if in the middle of the battle makes it. What? Okay, triggers on burst if in the middle of the battle. So I assume if you're ever in the third slot. I don't really like that, forcing them to be in the third slot. Because slots kind of matter in this game, especially if you're playing auto, right? If I have Tia at the very end, and let's say I have Litter at the beginning, if I'm on auto, it's not going to use Tia's burst skill because she's going to re-enter the burst stage 1. It's going to use Litter's because she's on the far left. So if it is like that, I don't really like, I'm glad they haven't done that yet, where they've made it like, oh, a character has to be in this specific slot, because that could definitely hurt the run, especially for the people who play on auto, right? If you want to play manual, there's fine as well, but I think a lot of the content don't really need to play manual unless it's like solo raid, union raid, maybe special interception, right? Well, special interception, like you can auto it, but you just got to control it, right? Realistically. And I know that because I do it all the time, literally. But triggers if in the middle of the battle, makes a shield of 5% of own max HP, reduces damage taken by 30% and taunts for 10 seconds. If not in the middle, Pilgrim allies get 20% max ammo capacity increase plus additional 15% for herself, up to 45%. Okay. Skill 2. Activates every 30 seconds. Affects all enemies. Deals 200% damage and stuns for 2 seconds. Let me keep going. Burst. Okay, so the burst. Burst 3, basically. Skill 3, the burst. Becomes a burst 2 if there's no other burst 2 units in the team. Becomes a burst 1 if there's no other burst 1 unit in the team. Burst 1 or 2 in the team. Affects one ally with the highest HP. Deals 1,250% burst level final attack and damage. If burst 1 all counters are... What? Oh, if burst 1 all counters are goddess allies plus 30% attack for 5 seconds. If burst 2 allies heals 2% of damage though for 7 seconds. If burst 3 affects... Okay, this kid is weird. I'm not gonna lie. So basically, this is kind of like a Dokkan passive. If you guys play Dokkan kind of has a lot of characters like this, where they act as something else if there's there, right? So I don't really like this kit too much. I like the numbers and the stuff behind it, but I already see some flaws with it. Every 30 seconds is too much. I don't like characters who have 30-second mechanics, right? Because that's way too long, realistically. In a 2 minute and 30 second match, you're getting that off a total of what, 5 times? No, I don't really like it. And it's only 200%. Maybe if it was 2,000, sure. But every 30 seconds, if you're waiting that long, the damage has to be great, basically. Right? So that's kind of the problem with Dorothy. But how did they make up with it? By making it when you use her burst skill, rather than it being every 10 seconds or whatever, every 20 seconds, it goes down to 2 seconds. Right? So they could definitely do that. But this whole thing is kind of revolving around like having pilgrims, and then if you're a burst 1, having a burst 1. I guess the whole point of this kit is like, if you don't want to bring a burst 1 as a burst 3, she would act as a burst 1, right? So it would be fine, essentially, right? So basically this character makes it that you don't have to fully bring burst. I like, it's a weird kit. It's like, it's unique, but it's like so, I don't know. I don't think it's any level, to be honest, but it's a unique kit for sure. I heard this one before you were reading it. Okay, so burst overheat, buff team attack by 200%, increase loaded ammo by 200%, increase crit rate by 200%. That's a bit overdoing it, because crit rate don't need to go there. It just needs to go up to 100%, because there's no crit resistance in this game. I don't think so, at least. Increases hit rate by 200%. I mean, just mad damage, I guess. Cool. Okay, let me see if I can fly. Let's see if there's anything else here. There's a lot more, but I need to pause and go through these personally because I don't know which one of these are actually kits or not. Okay, wait. What about having 3 bursts? You can use her as a burst 1 or 2, 1, 2, or 3 with their own effects and cooldowns. So this kit is kind of like this kit that I just read, right? Is that something you guys would want? I don't know how that would work, but that was something you guys would want. So she's, rather than her being a burst 3, a burst 2, or a burst 1, she's like, actually, you know, a game has this bounty rush. So bounty rush has attackers, defenders, and runners, right? They have characters in the game who are all 3 at once, depending on what they do. So that's a good way, I guess. They could make it like that. And obviously the best character in the game and is the Gear 5 Luffy who has that mechanic, right? So if they were burst 1, 2, or 3, would that make them the best, right? Because then they would have to make, how would they do it though? You know what I mean? Like, oh, you know what they would do? This is actually a cool mechanic. I think this is what they could do. If we want to go off of this idea, make it that when you have the burst options, no matter what burst rotation is, you can use her burst skill, right? So let's say I'm in the burst 1 stage and it's like Litter and then her face will be at the bottom there as well. If I click hers, then it goes to a burst 2 and a burst 3. If I skip on the burst stage 1 and I go to burst 2, I can have an option to click hers and then I get the burst 2 effect. And then if I skip both of those, I can go to the burst 3. If I don't want to use her as a burst 1 or 2 in the situation, I use her as a burst 3. Make it something like that. Maybe I mean, I could see it a lot more now. More options, but from one character. Okay, let's continue to see. With their own effects and cooldowns, but you can't use them more than one if her burst per chain. So okay, basically on a 40-second cooldown, I want to say. This would make her really versatile. Let's say you run a 1-1-3 formation and you intend to use Red Hood primarily as a burst 3 and your burst 1 dies. You can use Red Hood as a burst 1 and still go into full burst rotation. That's a cool mechanic, actually. Right, so now that's kind of making this one that I just read, this one make a much more sense to me, right? It's not that it wasn't making sense, it's just that I wasn't understanding it properly. But this is definitely, that would be a cool mechanic, right? So she's a burst 1, 2, and 3, right? And you have the option to use her burst 1, 2, or 3 whenever you want. But let's say you're mainly using her as a burst 3, like this person said, is Ace person said. If your burst 1 or burst 2 dies, you're not out of luck because Red Hood has the option to be a burst 1, 2, or 3. You could just use any of the 3, right? So if your burst 2 dies, you can use Red Hood as a burst 2 and then use another burst 3. If your burst 1 dies, you can use Red Hood as a burst 1 and use another character. That's a pretty good mechanic, right? This is already an 18-minute video though, so maybe I'll do more of these, huh? Maybe I'll do more of these. But for now, we're going to call it here. I like these ideas, right? Let me know what you guys would want and subscribe for sure because we need to get to 8K. We're literally like 40 subs away or something like that. So subscribe. But these are cool mechanics. Now that I've I guess I want to say what was this person's name? Lost Origin got like kind of a cosign. I think Lost Origin and Ace's idea, which is kind of similar, is what would be very cool. I think I like that the most, actually. Right, where you have the option of verse 1, 2, or 3. That's kind of cool. You guys let me know what you think. It's your boy Zxous, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace. All right, I'm out.